Well, we did just have a president almost get assassinated.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of scary in that something like that can happen.
Oh, yeah.
That...
Hey guys, this is Elijah Vargas from the Goal Soul Podcast. Can you introduce yourself?
My name's ASSASSINATION. I am from Carroll Stream, Chicago suburbs. I grew up in Springfield, Illinois, pretty much my whole life. I go to the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee. I just came back from studying a year abroad in Birmingham, England, and I am Elijah's first cousin. My mother and his dad are siblings.
That's right. You're actually, you're my first relative to get on the podcast. Micah got on the podcast once with one other person, but that was unreleased, so you're the first official one. So, welcome to the podcast.
I feel so special.
Yeah. So, I want to get into talking about that trip. So, how does it feel to be back home from the UK?
It feels really weird. I've been back for like 7 or 8 weeks now, and I kind of missed being home, missed everything being normal, but once I had been there for so long, it kind of felt normal to be there.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt weird being back.
I know that feeling too.
And my life looks so different, like being home from the summer and just working and hanging out versus traveling and hanging out every day with friends.
Yeah. So what are like the big like cultural differences that you notice between here and there?
The accents are a big one.
Oh, the accents, yeah.
I do find it very interesting to listen to people with different accents. I'm not one for eavesdrop, but listening to people with different accents talking is very fun. I think everything was just a little bit different from it is here. Public transport everywhere, I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
Pricing, you have to account for in everything. Tipping culture.
Do they tip more or less?
Less. I think 20% is really generous. I think they tip 10 to 15 for good service, but I don't think you're expected to tip like you are here.
Yeah.
But it's nice.
Yeah, I know some people that just don't even like to tip, and that's here, so.
Oh, you can't not. It depends on where.
Yeah.
If some places, I don't think you really have to tip at.
I feel bad whenever I don't tip, though.
Well, it's because they're looking at you, right? They
Yeah.
turn it around. I'm just going to ask a few questions.
I was at a chicken wing place, and I was getting chicken wings, and I tipped the cashier. And my coworker that was there with me was like, "Why did you tip him?" I'm like, "Cause he was standing right there, and he seemed nice."
He was gonna know if you didn't tip him.
He's doing a great job, so. He's like, "But he didn't do anything for you." I'm like, "I'm just trying to be nice, man." Like, so before we get into your background, I want to keep talking about like this trip. So, do you have like any interesting stories that you have from the trip?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, a lot happened. Did a lot of traveling, but the first time I ever went to Italy, I was taking an overnight bus because it is a lot cheaper than train from Budapest to Venice. And so we got on the bus at like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. We were going to get to Venice. We got there at like, 7 a.m. And sleeping on an overnight bus is never great.
That sounds scary.
Yeah, you're in a little seat next to somebody. I don't know, it's not great to sleep. It's bumpy, you stop. So we got there like 7 a.m. It was 4 of us, and we were all really groggy and whatnot. And we get out. None of us had ever been to Venice before. So we...
That's a wild experience.
The way Venice is set up, it's like it's an island, but there's a road to get on.
Yeah.
And there's no cars in Venice. But on the outskirts is where all the people park their cars and walk there. And so there's like a bus station there. And we park, we get out. We had no idea where to go because we couldn't check into our Airbnbs till like 3, and it was like 7 a.m. And we had just slept an overnight bus. We need to brush our teeth, wake up. So we found like the nearest bathroom that was like connected to the stop we had to pay €1 to get in, of course.
Oh yeah, I heard
Each.
about that. That sucks.
Yeah, but like, actually the bathrooms are normally upkept more because of that, which is
okay.
nice. But we get in, and I was the only girl in like our group, so I went in the bathroom alone. Went to the bathroom, and then I came out and I started brushing my teeth in the sink, and maybe 10 seconds later, a woman came in and started yelling at me in Italian, and I don't speak or understand any Italian. And she yelled at me, and I didn't understand what was going on, but after a minute, I understood I was not allowed to brush my teeth there.
Oh.
And she was like pushing me, and I had to leave. And so I walked out of the bathroom of this rest stop with a toothbrush in my mouth, full of toothpaste. And my other two friends are standing there like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Oh." And I had to swallow my toothpaste in my mouth. So gross. I've never done that before.
Oh.
And like a minute later, we hear the woman yelling again, and then my other friend gets kicked out of the men's bathroom. And
For the same thing? Oh
yeah,
my
he
God.
walked out with his toothbrush in his mouth
What?
too. And that was my first experience in Italy, right? Not great. So we like kind of were defeated. We were tired. We were angry. We were hungry. We had nowhere to go.
So you had to wait from 7 to 3?
So we split. We had 4 of us, right? There were
Yeah.
2 people and 2 people in Airbnbs. Me and my boyfriend were staying in one. So we end up like sitting down and having breakfast that morning. A long breakfast to avoid anything else. And then we ended up checking to our Airbnb early at like 11. He let us, which was very, very nice
Yeah.
and much needed.
That's nice. Yeah, that is nice. So what would you say, like, I know, what would you say is like your favorite place that you visited?
I really liked Austria.
Austria?
Yeah. I went to Vienna, which is the capital of Austria, and it was the cleanest city I've ever been in. They even had like little things every day that go and clean the streets and people riding them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, picking up. There was no trash anywhere. The streets
Yeah.
were clean. It was a beautiful city. A lot of places have like landmarks you can go see, right? But they're a little spread out. Every building, left and right, I felt like in Vienna was something. The Capitol building, historic in some way, a church. And it was very walkable.
Yeah. I feel like most American cities aren't like that. Like the architecture, the cleanliness,
Yeah, not at all.
not like it's not even comparable. Not to mention like actually a lot of things are walking distance, I'd say, in like Chicago, but long walks.
Well, you got your big cities, and
Yeah.
then you got the rest of the U.S.,
Yeah.
right?
Like Omaha, because I go to school in Omaha, everything's walkable. Minimum, like I mean, at like the most you'll walk is like maybe 20, 15 minutes.
Do you mean like campus or like the city?
The city.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It's for campus, I'd say like everything's within like 5-10 minutes.
Do you have like public transit at all, or is that just strictly
We don't-
walking?
People use it. I don't use it. I rent bikes because we have like bike stations on campus and throughout the city. So I'll like rent a bike, and then like there's a lot of bike trails and parks I could go to. I just chill out. I did do that a few times with my friends, and especially like when I'm trying to go to a store or something, I need groceries. That's what I would do. But I do know that we have like a Blue Jay shuttle, or I forgot what they call it, that is a bus for the school. You know what I mean? So
For
people
students?
do use that. I think a lot of kids Uber.
Uber's gonna get expensive though.
Yeah, it is.
Really quick.
It is.
And you have to tip, right, in Uber?
Oh yeah. Man, I remember. I think I told you guys this just because you got wait. No, you weren't there because you were already in the UK. When I went to the airport the first time for Thanksgiving break, I slept through my alarm and woke up at like 7:30. My flight was at like 7:45 or something.
Oh gosh.
And I needed to get there, and so I called an Uber like ASAP. It was supposed to be there in like 3 minutes. I got in the wrong Uber.
No
It was
license plate check?
because I think both of the Ubers are going to the airport.
Oh.
Because the other person was going to the airport, but the problem was like they wouldn't get paid. I think if they drove or something. But I could.
When did you figure it out?
Like, see, the thing is, he had like I think he was like African, or he had like a thick accent, so I couldn't really understand what he was saying. And then like maybe like halfway, I found out, and then.
You found out?
Oh, I found out because the other Uber driver was texting me. He's like, "You're in the wrong Uber. I think you got in the wrong one." I was like, "Oh shoot."
But his ride was still going, right? So
Yeah, it
somebody
was still
confirmed
going.
that they
So
were in their car.
we turned around and went back.
Oh, and you were in a rush.
Yeah, and I was in a huge rush, and I could not figure out. Like, when we got to the airport, I was already late. It was so embarrassing. But I managed to catch a flight on the next one. I think it was at like 11 or something. So I waited until 11, and then I got a flight. I was so lucky because there was like one open seat or something, and I made it on. And then I think the flight back is when your family picked me up from the airport, which is why I thought you knew, but I forgot that you were already in the UK.
A lot of people assume that they've told me stuff, or like they include me in the memories that didn't happen this
Yeah,
year.
I
That's
know.
happened a lot, actually.
I forgot you weren't there because like we went out to breakfast after that, and then I showed them. Actually, I didn't show them that much of the campus. I just showed them my dorm room and like a few other things. But yeah, that's basically what happened.
Oh yeah, because we had that conversation of what Jack and Jill bathrooms meant.
Yeah,
or rooms.
because you didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what a Jack and Jill bathroom was. I didn't know that's what I had.
Now
That's
you
so
know.
embarrassing.
It's okay.
Yeah. So. Okay, now that we're through like the trips, or the places that you've been in like the UK or in Europe basically. I want to get into your background so people know more about you. So you said that you grew up in Springfield, right?
Yes.
So what was it like growing up in Springfield, and like when did you move to Springfield?
I moved to Springfield when I was 2 or 3 maybe, very young. I have very little memories of before that. Springfield, growing up, I believe, was a small town. I think it's 112, 113,000, so relatively big. But I didn't think there was very much to do. I believe it was one of those towns when you get like in high school or whatever, there's not much to do. You like drive around and hang out and talk.
Yeah.
But it is very much my home, and I do have a soft spot for Springfield and Abraham Lincoln.
What's it like living in like the town where like Abraham Lincoln was? Do you guys like have a lot of pride for that compared to like everywhere else?
I actually do. I
Really?
do, yes. Not that I brag about it to people, but I do mention it more often than I should, I think. I even dressed up as Abraham Lincoln for
Really?
Halloween my freshman year in college, yeah.
That's funny. Cause I'm like in the suburbs of Chicago, so whenever people like ask me, I'm just like, oh, I'm from Chicago, and they're like, oh, is it safe?
You're in the city, you're downtown.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, I live in the suburbs. Or if I try to be cool, I'm like, no, I'm from Chicago, you know. It's dangerous up here.
I had people in college ask me where I was from, and I said Springfield.
Yeah.
And like, were you born there? Where are you from? Like, oh, I'm from Chicago. And they happened to be from downtown Chicago. And they got very upset with me that I was telling people I was actually from Chicago and not a suburb.
Yeah, some people just get pissed about that.
I know, I don't understand why.
Yeah. Well, like they'll live in the city.
You don't have
Or
the
like,
right to say.
especially people at my school, like because I mean, Creighton is a private school, so a lot of the kids have more money than me, but like, and they're from downtown. I'm like, okay, but yeah, you did grow up in Chicago, but like,
But what else?
But you're kind of rich, so like, what trials and tribulations did you go through? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's all I'm saying.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Oh, do you think that's why people get upset?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we don't associate with you. Don't claim us.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're like, you're not from the city. You're not from downtown. Why are you saying that? Like, you're from here. I'm like, Well, I live in the area, like Chicagoland area, so suburbs. So what kind of like activities, what hobbies did you enjoy when you were younger?
When I was younger, I tried out a bunch of different sports. I used to play soccer. I swam growing up all the way through high school. Um, I think I mostly enjoyed hanging out with friends, talking. I kind of got to make fun when there isn't any, I think.
Yeah. Is that because, oh wait, that's kind of mean. Because you said that there wasn't much to do with your
Yeah, that's like.
That's why, but you had fun with your friends just talking, right?
Yeah, I do enjoy just talking. Because I meant like there's not a lot of activities, like you can't go to like laser tag or something in Springfield to pass time. Most people quite literally drove around and talked.
Yeah, and that's not. You probably build stronger bonds like that too, like with your friends and your family.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds dope. Don't you guys have a zoo though too, and like a few museums?
We do. I have the Henson Robinson Zoo. Shout out Springfield. It's cool. I've been there quite a few times actually. They have cool turtles. I went there actually last summer before I left, and I got to hold a baby Arctic fox.
Oh really?
I'll show you the picture later.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. That sounds cool though.
And it's because my dad like works there for them, right? And we got to go in the back room. And while the zookeeper, my dad were like trying to like talking about the Arctic foxes or whatever that they were, on the other side of the gate there was monkeys, and it was like a chain link fence.
Yeah.
And I had never touched a monkey before, and I really wanted to. And they had they have thumbs. They had their hands up on the gate. I'm like, oh, I was gonna touch it.
What kind of monkey?
It was long and it was black and they had long tails, but I don't.
Is that like a spider monkey or something?
You know what? I think it was. I think you're right. But they had long tails, but there's like a gate that comes down to separate the ones that are outside from inside, so they can keep them in. Yes.
So it is a spider monkey. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Their enclosure had like a gate that they would go outside. When they came inside, they closed the gate, and sometimes the gate would malfunction and close too fast. So some of them had really short tails.
Oh, so.
I know.
Oh.
And they move with their tail, right? They hang on stuff. But I really wanted to touch one, so I put my finger and I touched it, and then I stuck my hand in like almost to my wrist, and one of them grabbed my wrist and pulled, and it really scared me, because I didn't expect them to touch me with such force.
Yeah, no, that's scary. Monkeys scare me, but I feel like they look so cool.
I feel like they're harmless, but like I've never like been up close with a monkey.
Yeah,
before.
no, they're terrifying. Like in the wild, people that keep them as pets, like there's some like serious horror stories with those. Have you seen that video of like the guy messing with the orangutan in his cage?
No.
And it like grabs him
through like a gate?
Yeah.
What did it do?
Yeah, it pulled him up against like the fence.
Oh, they're strong.
Like an arm and a leg. I think like 2 or 3 of his limbs. The orangutan was grabbing, and like I think like 2 or 3 people just like went and like try to pull him off, and then eventually they got him free, and he was like not harmed. But that was crazy. I think it went viral a long time ago, but I'm not sure.
Wow.
It was scary. That's why I don't mess with monkeys, especially orangutans, because they're scary as hell.
So besides the zoo, we do have the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Museum, which I think you've been to.
Yeah, I have.
School field trip?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Well, no. I think Micah did. But we went as a family once, I think.
It's a really cool museum.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a long, long time, but I think it's a pretty nice museum.
What's your like favorite parts of the museum that you remember?
I think the wax figures were cool. That's the only time I think I've seen wax figures. And it's very interesting to read the history, because you learn about it and whatnot, but you learn about it at school, but they had a lot of pictures and really in-depth about it.
Like fun facts too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like the they have the chair that he was like shot on.
Really?
Yeah, do you remember that?
I don't,
They
but I
have it
feel
like
like I
in
should.
they have it like in a case somewhere, I think.
Oh, like from the theater?
Yeah, from the theater.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like so crazy that people decide to keep like historical artifacts like that.
Yeah, like that is a pretty weird thing to keep if you
I
think
know,
about
right?
it, right? A chair he was killed in.
Yeah. Or like after he died on that chair, I can't imagine people being like, okay, let's take this chair out.
Yeah, like does it have his blood on it? Did they clean it?
Yeah, right.
They ripped it out of the movie theater?
I have no idea. They must have took it. How did they know? Like, did it ever get mixed up with other chairs, or was it like, oh, this is his chair, and then they just took it away?
Yeah, did they actually just pick a random chair and say it was that chair?
Yeah. I have no idea. That's such a...
Yeah, how would they not know what the guy said before he shot him, but know which seat he was sitting in?
I have no idea. That was a rabbit hole right there. Okay, so the last thing I asked was like hobbies. So let's move into high school. Like how did your hobbies of like doing a bunch of sports, like random sports like soccer and would you say swimming?
Cross country, yeah.
Cross country
When
swimming.
I was younger, yeah.
So how did those change as you moved into high school?
So I realized I did not like them. Besides swimming, I guess. I stuck through swimming through high school. I actually didn't really like swimming, but it was very social, and I love the social aspect of it, traveling to meets and whatnot, and...
I totally understand that. That makes sense. That was me for like cross country. I hated cross country, but I did like some things like, you probably agree like when you're swimming, when you're passing somebody, doesn't that feel good?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're just looking down the whole time or up, just swimming laps over and over again. In a meet, it's cool, you're racing.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time you're at practice, just continuously swimming.
I never even thought of that, like looking up and looking down.
Yeah, it's boring. Some people sing songs or like count strokes.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, I never swam. I just took swimming lessons when I was little, but I never thought about like I've never done laps. Except, like when you're in the pool with your friends and they're like, yo, let's race.
Who gets to the end first?
Yeah.
It can be soothing, I think. But...
Yeah. So, aside from like swimming, what other like things did you do? Like, did you just go out with your friends and hang out, or?
Yeah, so I did that quite a bit too. And when I was in high school, like after like sophomore year, I kind of very much worried about my resume and to get into college. So I joined student council, and I thought that was very fun. So I was involved in all the school events, talent shows, I don't know, homecoming and whatnot.
No, yeah, that always like looks good on the resume. I think student council especially. Like any clubs that you can join. I know a lot of kids that are like that even now, like trying to join a ton of clubs in college.
Well, yeah, if you want to go to a really competitive school, you got to get ahead too.
Yeah, for sure. Because people like schools want to see that you're like involved or whatever at the school and contributing to the school. So the more you can do, the better, right?
Mm-hmm. So I did a lot through the school, but then COVID happened during my junior year.
That was your junior year?
Yeah.
Like the start of it was your junior year?
No, like March or junior year.
Okay.
Right, that's when it hit March.
Yeah.
So that kind of like knocked off the rest of my high school. No sports anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously COVID, we weren't doing anything. Online school, although we went back in person for like 3 hours a day. So there wasn't really much going on. Couldn't hang out with people.
So did you graduate the COVID? That's like the year after when COVID hit, right? When you graduated?
Yeah. So like I was the second generation to graduate in
Yeah.
COVID.
What was that like?
The graduation.
Yeah.
We sat. We were in. We like normally every class graduates the same place, and we graduated there too. It's indoor. We sat 6 feet apart in little chairs with masks on, so I couldn't talk to anybody. And normally the stadium or whatever it is full with people. You know, you bring your friends, family, extended family, all come and see you. But we were allowed, I think, 3 or 4 people a person. So it was very empty.
Yeah, that's not a lot of people. Was there like, did they live stream it or anything?
You know what? I think they did actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cause that would just suck for like everyone else that wants to come, like the rest of your family.
Yeah, pretty much.
So who ended up going for you?
My mom, my dad, and my 2 sisters, I believe.
That's 4.
3 or 4 people. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
I don't. You got a certain amount of tickets.
Yeah.
And I think if you knew people, you could get other people tickets and
Oh.
whatnot. You know, but I didn't get any more tickets. I don't think.
Interesting. Yeah, no, so the last person I had on graduated, like, when COVID hit.
2020.
Yeah, so, yeah, he graduated, he was class of 2020, and he was talking about how he completely changed my perspective on it, because looking back, I remember feeling bad for everyone that was graduating that year, but he was in a place where he was like, I feel bad for, like, the kids going into high school and not being able to experience their freshman year, or not even experiencing like middle school, because those kids don't have any social skills.
I know,
Now.
and they're like COVID kids now, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they call them? But I more so felt bad for the people going into their freshman year of college,
Oh yeah.
right? Because that's when you go, you move out, you have freedom, and you go and experience things, you meet people. And if it's online or you can't have gatherings, I felt bad for them.
That's how it was for him. He was explaining. What I was trying to imagine is like being like a sophomore when COVID hit,
Mhm.
and then now you're a junior, and then when everybody comes back, it's like there's 2 full classes that you don't know anyone. Which
That's
is
true.
crazy. I can't imagine that, and I think it was like that for high school a little bit too. Because I was a freshman when it hit, and then I didn't.
Oh, you were a freshman?
Yeah, and then junior year, all my friends like grew facial hair, had long hair, because they didn't get any haircuts during COVID. And then there was 2 classes of people I just never met.
When did you go back in person?
My junior year.
You
So,
were online your whole sophomore year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wait, you weren't? Or like that year?
Junior year when it happened, we immediately went online. But my senior year, you had the option to either go back in person for 3 hours a day, and then there'd be a lunch break where you went home, and then the second half of school would go for the next 3 hours, or you could just do it online.
Yeah. So
But-
we had that too.
Oh, okay. So, but you stayed home then?
Yeah, I stayed home.
Okay.
Wait, did you do the asynchronous or the?
I went in person because it was lonely.
Oh yeah.
I think I learned better in person,
Yeah.
and I wanted that classroom setting back. It was my senior year.
Oh, for senior year, yeah.
It actually wasn't too fun, to be honest. I should have just stayed home.
Yeah. A lot of people just got so lazy though. I bet you probably didn't, just because you were actually there. But I know for me, I was so lazy. I'd watch like so many movies, especially if it was a class that like I was chilling. If I had a good grade and I knew the grade wasn't gonna move, or if it was a lecture that I didn't really need to hear, I'd watch a movie.
Or you'd just be sleeping and then they call your name.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because the thing is, especially in high school, a lot of kids didn't even turn their camera on, and that was definitely one of those kids.
I mean, we all were.
But, yeah. I think the only one is like Spanish. They made me turn my camera on, which I didn't mind, but
I think our school at least kind of set it up in a way to allow kids to kind of slack off because
Oh,
they
yeah.
weren't going to fail you. You couldn't not pass a class,
yeah.
right? Because of COVID and everything going on, they were going to pass you regardless.
Oh yeah, and that was the same year. I think it would be harder to fail than it was to succeed. Some kids still manage, I swear.
To fail?
Yeah. Some kids still manage. I don't know how. The easiest grades I ever got was during COVID.
Yeah, I remember I was writing a really long paper, and then COVID hit, and it was supposed to be like a partner paper, completely off the table. We
Yeah.
just weren't doing it anymore.
Yeah. I was supposed to dissect a frog in bio. Never happened.
I was gonna ask, how was that virtually?
Yeah. And actually, we were reading The Hot Zone, which is a book about like Ebola,
Mm-hmm.
right before COVID hit.
Oh, like foreshadowing.
Yeah, it was scary, and I think that's like the first book in a long time that like I read all the way through and was actually interested in, just because like it was so applicable to what was happening. It was crazy.
Do you think like our kids are gonna read a book about COVID?
Probably.
Because Ebola wasn't too long before COVID, like 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah. And like while COVID was going on, I was just freaking out about like what if Ebola went airborne? Like that's. I had no idea what the heck COVID was, honestly. I don't think anybody did. Like people said, oh, it was like the flu. I'm like, why is it such a big deal then? And then now it's like, oh my gosh, people actually like died from it. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think when it first happened, a lot of people were really scared.
Yeah.
Because they compare it to the flu, but like, I don't know, because it wasn't only people that were prone to getting it that would like die from it, like respiratory issues or like older people, I think.
Yeah. And sometimes it just hit like random people very, very hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's this UFC fighter, Khamzat Chimaev. It hit him so hard that like he was so close to dying.
And you wouldn't expect a UFC fighter like to be in shape. And
yeah, exactly. And he almost died from it, which I shouldn't be laughing about, but that's crazy.
I remember when the first case was in Springfield. It was like an elected official, I forget who, and she was in her house, and it was all over the newspaper that she had COVID because she was the first case in Springfield. And if she would open her windows, people would call the cops on her, or like open her door to get fresh air.
Really?
Right? Yeah.
That happened?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because people were so scared the first time in Springfield, they thought, if we contain her, maybe it won't spread.
Yeah. And I was gonna mention, like, what do you think about like The Simpsons? Because I swear they like predicted it, but also The Simpsons takes place in Springfield, so.
I think it's Springfield, Missouri, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
I get that a lot when I tell people from Springfield. Actually,
Yeah.
Oh, like The Simpsons. I've actually never seen The Simpsons.
Yeah.
To be fair, but I have heard they predict a lot of stuff.
They do. I don't know how. It doesn't make any sense. It's scary how like close things are.
How do they know?
Yeah, because I remember seeing this clip of it was like right before, I don't know when it was, but it was, I think it was like while Trump was president or something, and there was this is what happened in real life. Was Trump was like going down an escalator, going down some stairs or something, and somebody was holding a sign and they dropped it, and that's what happened in real life. But the episode that came out 20 years prior, this is the exact same scene. I don't know how. Identical.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I can show you it after, but it was like, I don't know how the same exact scenario played out in real life 20 years later, or whenever that episode came out. But, yeah, that was The Simpsons. It's pretty crazy. So let's move out of like the COVID, everything with COVID. So after COVID, obviously you went into college. What were you looking at? Like what major were you thinking about? What like career path were you interested in?
So I went into college undecided, and I took a semester of whatever classes, right? Just like gen eds. And I didn't actually know, but I changed my major to architecture because I thought I wanted to be an architect. And throughout that semester, I realized I did not want to be an architect. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool, but I felt like I was doing artwork because I was like building models, but they weren't houses. They were just like theoretical models, and isn't something I wanted to do for a career. And at the beginning of my sophomore year, like that summer, I started planning out my year abroad actually for my junior year, and I had to pick a major and stick with it to be able to make that work and graduate within the 4 years that I wanted to. And I chose computer science. I had taken a year of computer science in high school, but then COVID hit and I actually dropped it. But I chose computer science, and that's what I've been doing, and it's worked out. I like it for the most part.
Yeah. So what's your favorite language in computer science?
Probably Java.
Java?
I know a lot of people don't like Java, but I do.
Yeah, I don't. Honestly, this is like the stupidest answer, but I love HTML.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's like, it's for babies. Like, it's so easy. But I love HTML. It's the only one that makes sense to me.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah. Like, just like the what do you call them? Like the brackets or the the tags, right? The P tags.
Yeah.
And I love that. I've made so many websites on HTML, and then once I get to like Java or JavaScript, I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
It is very syntaxy.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're doing, but...
Yeah, it is, and I get confused because, like, whenever I try to do anything, like, I remember we had to do a project where we made a loop, you know, like while loops or whatever. I was like, screw that. And then I just copied the same, like, line of code 50 to 100 times. And it was, like, the longest page. It was so bad.
So that theoretically works?
It did work.
But you could have done that, like, 5 lines.
I know. It was so funny, though. Because when I turned it in, it's like, it was this massive project that could have been, like, only a few lines.
I remember when I first started coding, we would like make like online dice games in class. Or he'd like give us an assignment, we had to go and code it and then turn it in. And I could not figure out how to do one. So it was like 150 lines where I coded every single outcome that could be. And there was a lot.
Yeah.
And he did it in class in front of us in like 10 lines. And I was like, there's always a way.
Oh yeah, I hate that. When people show you something that's like, this is the easier way. You're like, damn it.
It was like obvious too when you should have known.
Yeah, I know. It's always that. So like, what's your favorite thing that you've made so far?
Do you know the game Minesweeper?
Yeah.
I coded that.
Oh.
And I thought that was really fun.
Yeah. That's dope. I love Minesweeper. I made like, you know the one that I said that I made like with all the lines of code?
Yeah.
That was like a maze game, and all those lines of code were each of the walls.
Oh gosh.
And I randomized all of them so they'd appear randomly.
That sounds like that would take a lot of work if you're
did.
coding each one.
Yeah. So, how did you get Minesweeper to work? I don't know how you're gonna explain that, but like, I'm curious.
So I did this like 2 years ago. It was in Java. It involved downloading a lot of libraries.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So it's like a grid, right? So there was a class for the buttons. So each individual button was an object. And then you had to, it was one long array actually.
Yeah.
Or I guess, yeah, it was one long array.
What?
Yeah, so it was actually a grid, but it was coded as one array, so it would attach each line to the previous one, right? And then I would code the randomized vines within the grid, and then if you know how Minesweeper works, however many bombs there are around a single point, it like says the number.
Yeah.
So you have to like basically increment each one, and then it's just recursion on you know when you click, and then if you click on nothing, it like will expand.
Yeah.
That's just all recursion, going and checking each individual one until you hit something.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
It was interesting to figure out, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably would have had a lot of repeating code. I already know I would have. That would have been like, yeah.
A long program.
It would have, yeah. How long did it take you to do?
So I had some help with it. I didn't start from
Was
scratch.
it a group project or?
It was an idea from a teacher that he had previous students do it, and he had like an outline
Yeah.
of what libraries we should use and whatnot. And so I went in and got help from him on how to do some of the stuff. I think it took like 2 weeks or so. Like
That's
it
not
wasn't
too bad.
crazy, no.
Yeah, that's pretty valid. That's pretty good. So,
It has since got some bugs in it.
oh yeah, you found them?
I never open up and use that, and the one time I did, something didn't work right, and there was an error. And I was like, I'm not gonna go solve this right now.
Yeah. I swear. And like sometimes you turn something in and you know there's a bug, but you're like, the teacher's never gonna find this. That
They're
feels
never
so
gonna
bad.
know.
Yeah, they're never gonna know. And I remember leaving an Easter egg in my game. I forgot how it came out though. That was funny though. I don't know. So, what was college? So we're obviously talking about like the academics. Did you stick with comm side of the whole time?
Yes. I felt like I had to, but
Yeah.
I think it was also a career I think I want to get into. So I had 1 year of computer science in Milwaukee my sophomore year, and then I took another year abroad. So I feel like my education is very mixed in what I know. And I remember starting my classes abroad, and normally they take, all the first year students take a specific set of classes, and all the second year students take a specific set of classes, and then third year masters. And I took like one from every grade level. So I was with people that had a lot of experience and a little experience.
Yeah.
But I thought it was kind of crazy that their first years had, I think, more experience than I did going into my second year.
They did it all in high school? Or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So their second 2 years of high school, they specialize. They like choose like what we would call a major, right? They do
Yeah.
that in high school for the last 2 years and specialize. So you would take 2 years of computer science and then go to college.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I took a few years of computer science, but I didn't even end up going that way, so. And then I took another year, or not a year, but a semester in college, and I was so glad that I took those classes, but I wish that I had like gotten a good grade on that AP test I wouldn't have had to take it. It was so easy.
AP Comp Sci?
AP Comp Sci, not really, but the class that I took in college was very easy. And I'm not knocking the teacher, it was just like easy. It was intro. The only thing I didn't like was learning about like the history.
Of computer science?
Yeah.
Really?
We had to like learn about transistors and like all the computers, the history of computers and like how they evolved into what we have today. It's like this is so boring, and there's no way I'm gonna memorize all of this. I'm good at the coding part. I can do that, especially when it's HTML.
But anything else?
Anything else, yeah, I'm screwed. So, I was gonna ask. So, obviously, we talked about like academically what you were doing. What was like? Were you a part of any clubs in college, or what was like college life like for you?
So I didn't join any clubs, I don't think, my freshman year. I really focused on hanging out with people, getting to know, trying to find a friend group. And there's a lot to do. I moved to a bigger city, so there was lots going on. I don't think I joined any club sophomore year. But junior year, I joined the
In the
fencing
UK?
team. Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I joined the fencing team, which I thought was very fun. And I was part of the computer science society, I guess.
They have all of that over there.
Yeah, they got a lot going on. Birmingham had a great, if like sports wise, any sport you can think of, besides like quad balls.
I was gonna say, do they have Quidditch?
No, actually, you would think they're more likely to have it, right?
Yeah, I would think.
Well, I say that although I didn't specifically ever check for Quidditch, I don't think they have that.
Yeah, it's more like a club sport, I would think. Or you were talking about clubs.
Yeah, they're mostly clubs.
Yeah. So you did that and you did that. Oh, I wanted to ask, like, what differences did you notice moving from like Springfield to Milwaukee?
So the main reason I moved to Milwaukee is because I wanted to kind of get away from Springfield first off, but also go somewhere that people from my high school wouldn't really go to.
Yeah.
To just try to make new friends and branch out and have a different experience. And it was definitely a bigger city. I think Milwaukee's like 500,000 or so. I lived in the dorms, so I guess that's always a different experience,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Living in the dorms.
Yeah, for sure.
Being so close to so many people and your friend group, I guess, was very fun. But I also got more out into the city and got to experience what it was like living in Milwaukee.
Is Milwaukee safe or is it like?
It actually is one of the top 10 dangerous cities in the U.S.
Oh,
Not even gonna
okay.
lie, it is.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
No, I no joke, it is. So I lived in the dorms my freshman year, and I was on the 22nd floor, so I didn't hear anything. But my sophomore year, I moved out to a house on the main street, and maybe once every 2 weeks we hear gunshots.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't go out that late by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't do that, but I know somebody that got kidnapped right outside the dorms.
Wow.
Not a friend of mine, but
Yeah.
somebody I've met. I know a few people that have gotten mugged. It just kind of happens. It is Milwaukee.
Damn. Yeah, cause we got a pretty decent. Actually, that's not decent at all. But we have a lot of homeless people. So I mean, I haven't heard any stories of people getting like mugged or like anything violent ever happening. But I think Omaha's just safe. But it's crazy because I feel like Omaha and Milwaukee are kind of similar in size. I wouldn't expect Milwaukee to be like really dangerous at all.
I didn't actually know that till I was committed, and I found out, and my parents were like, "Don't go, don't go." I was like, "It's too late. I'm committed. I want to go."
That's crazy. Yeah, I never knew that. Wow. So, okay. I have a few more questions. We're at about 50 minutes. So, let's go into a few things about your future, and then let's get into some deeper like conversations, hopefully.
Okay.
So now that we're moving out of that, out of like college life a little bit, what are some things that you have like on your bucket list?
My bucket list.
Yeah, like.
So I really got into traveling this year, and I think the
I
main
bet.
things on my bucket list are places I want to see. Like Tokyo, I would love to go to Australia. I would love to go to like Malaysia too and Thailand. But I think my bucket list is really just places I want to visit.
Oh yeah, wow, yeah, and I heard Thailand's pretty nice. I mean, I don't know if it's the safest, but things are pretty cheap. Like I heard they treat Americans like royalty over there.
Yeah,
but I could be tripping. I don't know.
I think the dollar is worth a lot there.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of people go backpacking in Thailand.
Oh yeah.
I actually really want to go to Egypt, but this year I met a guy that was born and raised in Egypt, and he was like, "Don't go. Do not go. It is not safe."
Oh, it's not safe. Okay.
For women, yes, that's what he said.
Oh, for women. Yeah. Who was I talking to? I did hear that it's not safe for women in Thailand, so. I heard that they have like a crazy sex trade there or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just kill it on my bucket list.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry, but if it's not safe, like.
Maybe I'll rethink that one.
I mean, you did go to Milwaukee, so.
Birmingham's actually pretty bad too.
Yeah.
When you couldn't buy knives because at like
Really?
yeah, it took us forever to find where to find normal kitchen knives because people buy them and stab each other all the time.
Oh, Yeah, I know like a lot of things are, or a lot of the violence is with knives there, but
Well, because they don't have guns.
yeah. So you guys ended up getting some, or
Yeah. I actually didn't buy any myself. I inherited them from like one semester students that moved out.
oh, so was it just like kitchen knives or?
Yeah. I mean, that's all. I don't need a knife for anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, for when I was at school, I bought like a few of like the flip ones. Yeah, it's just like the flip ones.
Oh, like
Like a pocket knife.
Yeah.
I got like 2 pocket knives. I felt safe, but honestly,
Oh, you carry them on you?
Yeah.
Oh, like for like protection?
Yeah, especially when I was going out. But like if I'm going to class, I don't need that. Like
I thought you said you felt like it was safe.
it was safe. I just felt extra safe.
Was it safe because you had the pocket knife?
I mean, probably, but I never had any reason to not feel safe, to be honest. Because one of the things I like to do, you know how I said, like, I like to go bike?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go, like, at 11 p.m. when it's real dark, because, like, all the lights are on in the city, especially in the parks, they're lit up. I'd go and I'd bike, like, over there, I'd bike down some trails, and, like, look at the parks, because the parks are, like, sick. They look so cool. And, yeah, I just have, like, a knife with me, so.
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case, because, like, I don't want to get, like, pushed off of my bike and then someone would grab my bag or something, or my wallet. I'm like, okay, well, I can stand my own, like, I know how to fight, but if they have
I would assume you could stand your own. I would hope so with you going to MMA.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I felt safer, I would say. But, so we talked about, like, things that were on your bucket list, and you want to go to, like, a lot of places. Is there anything other than, like, places that you can think of that you want to do?
I guess stereotypically, I've always wanted to go skydiving.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
I say that, but I don't know if I'd actually want to go. Like, I want to go, but at the same time, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, thinking about being in a plane and jumping out, but telling people I've been skydiving.
Yeah. I feel like that's something, like, me, you, my brother, and, like, Olivia, or maybe Alexis would go do.
Ooh, together?
Yeah.
Okay, because if you guys were all there, I couldn't chicken out.
Yeah.
So I would have to do it.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, that's, like, all of our cousins and my brother. So.
All the first cousins.
Yeah.
On our side, yeah.
Actually, wait, half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even think that's crazy.
I actually didn't think about that.
Yeah. That's wild. With ComSci and all of that, I know we talked about, like, your bucket list, but with ComSci, like, what career do you want? That's a question. What career would you want?
That is a great question. I don't know. I've been thinking about cybersecurity lately. I'm working with databases now in my job, but I don't really know. I'm taking some extra classes this year to probably help me decide to see what I want. I'm trying to get an internship this year during school to narrow it down. But that is something I need to figure out because this is my senior year.
Yeah. Well, if you want to take one of my recommendations, there's a lot of, like, government jobs that hire people with ComSci, like ComSci degrees or whatever. And, like, I know I went to a panel, or not a panel, but, like, they had an event at my school where they had, like, the FBI talking.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, like, how they'll pick up a lot of people from, like, literally any science, but they said especially, like, ComSci majors and whoever, because they're good for, like you said, cybersecurity. So I'm just suggesting, there's a lot of agencies that look for that.
That's a good suggestion. Do you know Dan, Marty's son? Not Marty.
I was gonna say, does Marty have a son?
No. Leto's brother.
Oh, okay.
What's his name? Okay. Well, his son Dan lives in Florida, and I was talking to him, and he said I should go work for the government too.
Oh yeah.
Because they were hiring. He works in cybersecurity through the government.
Yeah.
And he said it's great.
Yeah, it is great, and the pay's pretty good as well.
And the benefits.
Yeah, and the benefits. Yeah, I'd say like NSA, CIA, FBI, like all of those ones would probably want someone with like that, you know, highly marketable.
FBI would be cool.
Oh yeah,
CIA,
for sure.
yeah.
For sure. And I mean, if I get if I get in there too, that'd be crazy. So, would you see yourself living in Milwaukee, or would you see yourself going back to Springfield to like live?
I don't think I'd ever move back to Springfield.
Really?
No. So my boyfriend's German actually, and he's been over here this summer, and we've kind of been talking about that. Because I don't know if he wants to live in U.S. forever, and I don't know if I want to live abroad forever. So we're gonna have to figure that out. I might stay in Milwaukee for a few years after I graduate, just because I like Milwaukee, or I might go to Germany for a little bit with him, and get a job over there. I don't know. I'm excited to figure it out though.
Yeah.
Lots of options.
Yeah, no, that sounds sick, especially like with all that traveling, going back to Germany or wherever. That sounds like fun.
It does. I did a little bit of traveling in Germany with him, and it was a very fun country.
Yeah.
Good food.
Are there any countries that like you wish you hit in Europe?
I always want to go to Portugal. I didn't make it to Portugal. Luxembourg and like Belgium, I didn't make it to. One day. I think I made it to all the major ones I wanted to. Oh, except Poland. I want to go to Poland.
Poland's nice, I hear. I have a lot of friends from Poland that go a lot.
And then like Iceland, I think would be very cool, but it was a little too far out.
Yeah.
I'll hit them some point in my life.
Yeah, eventually. Do you want to go to like every country in existence, or just like
You know,
the nice
there's
ones?
probably a few I don't want to go to. You know, North Korea maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not every country.
But like Australia, you said Japan. I want to go to like Korea. It'd be so cool.
I
always
would
wanna-
love Korea. Yeah. Like,
South Korea,
yes.
obviously, but a lot of Asian countries I've been wanting to go, especially Korea, just because like my Taekwondo background, and I wasn't able to go last year when they went, so if I was able to go at some point in my life, that'd be so cool.
I think every every country is so different from each other, but like there is a comparison you can make between like the U.S. and the U.K. Right? You both speak English. It's not the same, but you know it's similar. But something like Japan is so different from our everyday life. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, and culturally they're not Western, they're Eastern, so like everything's way different.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about the bathrooms over there, like imagine the bathrooms in Japan. Don't they have like those fancy like water ones?
Oh, don't they play music when you go poop or something?
Oh yeah, I think so. I don't know. That's crazy.
I've never been, so.
That's crazy. I was listening to Joe Rogan, and they were talking about how like they're struggling, like their population's declining basically.
Where?
In Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, because there's like less women, so there's more guys. I guess it's like, I don't know. But yeah, I just thought that was crazy. That's another thing that like, I wonder if you go to the country, you would notice that. Or
Was the one-child policy in China?
yeah, that's China.
Okay.
But he was talking about Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why why in Japan it's like that, but I think it's probably just straight sexism or whatever. But
It might be.
I have no idea. So, um, I think I'm not gonna ask this because you already seem like unsure about a few of these things. So I might skip to like the deeper questions because I mean we're already at an hour, so that's pretty good timing
Okay.
to start like the deeper conversations. So think about like all the movies you've watched, especially like the ones that have like like in the future. Which one do you think has like the best representation of the future in your opinion? So like Terminator, Matrix, Wall-E, like
Oh, okay.
which movie like in your mind do you think is like the best representation? And
Is
then,
Don't Look Up a good answer?
I haven't seen that
You
movie.
haven't seen that movie?
No.
So you should watch it, first of all. It's a great
Okay.
movie. But it's about some people, Jennifer Lawrence actually, spotting a meteor that's coming to Earth.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, and it's
Oh wait,
yeah,
is that new?
2 years or so, but yeah.
Okay.
And it's like going to kill the planet. Like it's gonna hit. It only takes a meteor like the size of Milwaukee. I actually learned that in astronomy class to kill the entire world.
Oh my god.
So it's like coming and it's completely science, it's math, it's gonna kill the world. And they report it and no one like it's like a divide, right? In the world, half believe them, half don't, even though it's clearly coming, it's scientific, they did the research. And it's about I think it's such an accurate portrayal of how that would happen. And it has to a lot too about politics and people framing their run election around that and really trying to sway people and making money off of it. And it was kind of sad to watch. It was interesting, but it was sad because I think that would be too accurate.
Yeah. No, that is crazy. Like how that's like one of my biggest fears is like have you heard of like that thing where like would you rather I don't know if it's a would you rather, but like you know the thing with a clown, like if there's like a clown in the room but you're the only one that sees it and like nobody else sees it. I forgot what the other thing is like, but basically like the scenario with the clown, you're the only one that sees it. You're trying to tell everyone that there's a clown in the room, but
Oh, but no one can see it
yeah,
except
but
you.
no one can see it except for you.
That sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, I forgot what that is. It's like a scenario that people mention with a clown.
Oh, like you know it to be true, but no one will believe you
Yeah.
because you don't
So
have the evidence.
that's what I'm thinking about with that, because you're talking about like how people are trying to warn everyone about a meteor, but like nobody like really cares or nobody's like scared, where they should be trying to figure out a solution, like Armageddon.
I think the movie really goes into like you know how people today will take something somebody says at face value and not go research into it, and even if they do, they won't check who actually did the research and if they're qualified.
Yeah.
So the scientists that founded it are qualified, but people are saying, oh, this is incorrect, but they don't have a background to actually say that, but people hear them and no one does research to actually look into it, so the general population is just misinformed about it.
Yeah. I think that's definitely true about a lot of things.
Yeah. Yes, it
It's
is.
crazy. It's crazy. So, what would you say, like, because we mentioned, like, things that, movies that represent the future, what would you say scares you about the future?
Well, you know, we did just have a president almost get
Oh,
assassinated.
yeah, that was crazy. And I wasn't sure if we should mention it on the podcast, but now that you bring it up, I'm sure that's crazy. Because it's very, very relevant.
So I think guns very much scare me, and where the country is going with that, and our lack of, I don't know, willing to take care of some issues about it is kind of scary, and that something like that can happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that seems so old time and such a out of date word, assassinate, but you know, stuff like that does happen and can happen. Yeah. I think misinformation is a huge problem, and people not willing to research into things that they hear and taking things at face value.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with that. And it's funny that like you mentioned this because I was like in my brain I was like comparing it to this video that I had just seen like right before this episode, right before we started recording. I saw this video that my friend's dad sent me, and it's like this guy was being interviewed about because he was there at the rally. I don't know if he was participating in the rally, but he was like at his house, I think, nearby, and I guess he was so close that like he could just go outside of his house and like watch from his yard or wherever he was. I don't know where it was, but he was close enough that he could like watch from there. And he said that on the building that was next to him was like a warehouse, and he saw the shooter climbing up.
I saw videos of that, yeah.
You saw the video of it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the guy's like explaining that he saw the person climb up to the roof, and so he's trying to tell like the cops like, look, there's somebody up there, and they were trying to get like Secret Service to see the guy. And as all of this is happening, you know, like the guy's setting up, he's like aiming, and I'm like,
the pictures made it look noticeable actually. Like he wasn't flat, and it was like a roof where you couldn't hide in it,
yeah.
right?
So I'm like, why weren't the cops paying attention? Why aren't they like listening to this guy? Because he was obviously warning them, and the guy was just on a roof. It's not like.
I looked at like an aerial photo of like the grounds.
The whole situation.
Yeah, there was a stadium, right? And the only big building next to it was that place. So like, why wasn't it covered?
It should have been, and I mean, I'm not saying like the Secret Service should have done their job or anything, but that's a very big hole, and like you should be covering that. That should be like the first thing.
I think it was crazy that it could happen, right? So not just somebody has a gun and could shoot him, that it was set up in a way where somebody had the ability to do that. There was like a hole in their security. Yeah,
and I was talking to my friend, like, it sounds like it was a setup, because
I have heard that. It's all conspiracy.
Yeah, and I don't like sounding like a conspiracy theorist or anything, but it sounds like it if they weren't paying attention to the guy warning them, and Secret Service didn't pay attention to that roof, they didn't even respond until the shooting started. It doesn't make sense to me.
So, you know, I've heard people that are crediting his win for this presidential election to this shooting now.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big thing. He's going to use it to his advantage and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the photo that came out
of it, I will say the photo looks sick.
The photo was really cool, not going to lie.
I will say the photo looks crazy. I don't want to compare it, but it like reminds me of like the like several of those historical pictures of like
all the people holding up the flag, right?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say that. I don't want to say it. No.
I don't know the name of the photo, but
yeah, the Iwo Jima, when they were in like Japan.
Yeah.
And they were putting up the flag on the island, but
same
yeah, and they had
energy.
a similar one in like for 9/11, I think. They like redid it, I think. Like the firefighters, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think that was so weird. This is gonna be like the perfect clip to post. Like I might even release it today or tomorrow, just because it's like how relevant it is. But
I was wondering if we were gonna talk about that, because it just happened.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
I will say that is something that scares me though too.
I feel like with that we're just living through such a significant part of history.
Oh, for sure.
Like that's gonna go down in history books. That is gonna be there.
Yeah, not to mention like in our lives, like we had COVID, and then we had this.
You know what? There's a lot going on. Yes.
In the world, and like all the stuff going on with like North Korea,
Ukraine,
Israel, Palestine, and then the stuff with the border, and then like even the fires in Hawaii. Like there's so much going on. It's crazy, but I mean, I guess throughout history, there's always something going on somewhere.
Yeah, it might just feel different because we're living through it.
Yeah. And there's also the aspect of like social media, and as soon as something happens, you know about it. So it just feels like we're bombarded with everything all at once.
And you gotta fact check too.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
You
I
see
always
silly
try to-
on TikTok, you gotta go look it up first.
Yeah, I do. Like, I swear I see something like a celebrity died. Like I remember like a few months ago I saw like Eminem died. I'm like, oh shoot.
Oh my
really?
god, people post stuff like that all the time and they never die.
Yeah, and I remember posting it on my story, and then I went to like, what happened? Oh, I looked it up and it said like he died, and it said. I posted it like right away because I'm like, oh shoot, he died, because it was like on Google it said it.
You posted like what?
I posted the screenshot of like the Google search of his name when where it says that he died, but I didn't look at like the date that it said that he died because it was tomorrow.
He's going to die tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, that's scary. But it was obviously, I don't know how does that work? Like, was it a glitch?
Wait, did Eminem die?
No.
Okay.
He just released an album. It's crazy. But yeah, I think one of the things that scares me is like, because I was listening to a podcast where they're talking about nuclear war and how, like, the reality of what it would be like if it actually went down, and I think that just became one of my biggest fears right now.
Well, there's nothing you could do.
Yeah,
right? There's nothing you could do in that case.
As soon as another country launches a nuke, number one, we're like basically notified because we have like satellites everywhere. We find out like when a missile is launched, we have to try to figure out where it's heading, and then once that happens, the president has like, I think like 6 minutes to respond, something like that, 6 or 7 minutes to respond with where they take out, so you know, like the nuclear football.
Yeah,
It's
like the thumbprints and stuff.
Yeah, like the launch codes or whatever. They have that, and then they have this thing called the Black Book. In this Black Book, oh my god, it's so messed up that the way that they described it in the podcast. It's like they described it as like a Denny's menu. And in this Black Book, it's just it shows all the different like cities of like adversary countries. So like it'd have like Hong Kong.
It's more like a cheesecake menu, I would think.
Yeah.
Or Cheesecake Factory menu.
It'd have all of those, and then it'd have like estimated populations.
Oh, like where to hit to make it hurt the hardest.
It's so
Is that like that?
It's so messed up, yeah. And there's also that they had mentioned. So if they strike us with like 1 or whatever, if they hit us at all, we're obliterating their country, basically. We're sending.
Sadly,
like,
that would probably happen, wouldn't it?
No, that's what they said. That's like she had.
Wait, who's they?
So she was a journalist that had spoken to like several generals or people that were in charge of like this, and people that are like close to the president or whatever, that put the rules into place.
Biden would do that?
What?
Biden would do that?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, he would have to if that happened, but they were saying that like, yeah, as soon as they launch, we have to launch as many for them not to be able to respond again, basically.
And you have 6 minutes to decide that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
what if you get
world.
the wrong country? What if like the trajectory is wrong, the math is wrong or something?
You don't know.
That's a big decision in 6 minutes. Yeah.
That's what scares me, because like,
you could obliterate Japan. It wasn't
and if
Japan.
you think about it, and she had said, if nuclear war ever happens, our population would drop to 2 billion.
Oh, in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, what are we at? Like
Isn't
7
that
to 8
terrifying?
billion? That's a lot of people.
That is a ton of people.
So that's the best argument not to live in a big city. Move out of Chicago.
Well, there's also the thing like if they nuke like she was talking about if you nuke a nuclear power plant, which is like they made treaties that like you're not supposed to do that. she said that like it would basically just obliterate half of the U.S. if they ever did that.
Oh wow.
I forgot where they said. I think she said if they dropped a nuke on a nuclear power plant in like California, everything from California to like Colorado would be gone, and everyone.
That's a lot.
That is like
Oh,
terrifying.
wow. I didn't know it was that vast.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's my new biggest fear.
Your new biggest fear.
Yeah, new fear unlocked. Cause, yeah, they were talking about that, and I'm just like, so if you're telling me that everything I know, everything I love, could be gone in like 10 minutes.
So that's also so much out of a singular person's control that, like, why worry about it?
Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing you can do. It's not.
And yeah, I think you're right.
It's a lot to think about, though.
Yeah. It could destroy you, honestly. Like,
What
just freaking out about that is like. What were you gonna say?
What if like a country brings like a nuclear weapon to another country, shoots it off from there to the U.S., and then they obliterate that country when they actually didn't do anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea how possible that is.
Yeah, I don't know. So like, I guess the most practical way of doing what you basically just said is like if one country hacks another one, hacks like the nuclear launch codes of another one. So like, let's say North Korea hacks like China and then does it, and then we obliterate China. Now there's no now it's just, and thinking about like there's 1 billion people in China, that's like it would just be so sad. But
we don't need to live through that much more history, I feel like, in my lifetime.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I think I lived through enough.
I do too.
I'm not saying I want to die right now, but there doesn't got to be anything more crazy going on. Like, I'm good. So moving away from like what scares you about the future, what excites you?
I guess I'd have to say how much opportunity I have. I feel like I'm so young and I have my whole life ahead of me and I can do basically anything. I don't know what I want to do for career yet. I don't know where I want to move. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I could basically be anywhere. I think that's really exciting. I think I kind of thought more so about that this year when I was traveling, how I could really pick anywhere I wanted to go the next weekend or the next week and just go.
Yeah, and that was while you were abroad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Not in Springfield.
Not now. Yeah, and one of the things I've mentioned a few times on the podcast is like in the U.S. if you want to go somewhere like very very different, it's a way longer drive. It's a way longer, like you have to travel way further.
Like across the U.S.
Yeah.
And
like
it's not even that different.
If you're in Chicago, and you want to go to like somewhere that's like way different, you'd have to go to like Florida to Tennessee, and that's like what, like 10 hours. Or Florida's like 2 days or 3 days depending on like how long it takes you to drive. Whereas like in Europe, how long what was the furthest you had to drive to get to another country?
Well, I didn't drive anywhere per se.
Yeah, I mean, like public transit or whatever.
I took overnight buses for 10, 12 hours.
Really? It was that long?
From Birmingham to Edinburgh in Scotland, north of it. I think that was a 12-hour one. I didn't travel singly too long on a singular train because there's always like a change or something, or I travel to a city, stay a few days, travel to another city. So like I didn't take a super long one trip.
Yeah. Okay, no, then I guess it's not. I guess I was wrong. If it was 10 or 12 hours, then that's pretty similar. But it is stopping a lot, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like how far you would have to go to experience like another culture.
Yeah.
Right? That's not that far. Spain is so different from France, from Germany, from Italy. and they're really, really close to each other. And all you have to do is cross that country border. It's vastly different.
Yeah, and they speak like other languages.
Yeah, that's a huge part of why there's such a big culture change, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't even speak the same language.
And that's sick too, cause like, sick as in like cool, cause here if you go to another state they speak the same language, but there it's basically like states, but they're different countries. And if you cross the border, they speak another language, so everyone knows the languages. For the most part, I think.
I think some people, more so I've met, are bilingual or trilingual.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go as far to say as
They
somebody
know
that
all
speaks
of them.
Spanish would speak German and French and
Yeah.
Italian, although I'm sure that does happen.
Yeah.
But most people, I would say, are bilingual, English and then their home country language.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to imagine, like, if we, like, in Illinois, we knew, like, an Illinois language. Or if, like, you're going to Milwaukee, what if you had to learn, like, a Wisconsin language or, like, a...
That'd be very hard.
Yeah. Like, that'd be crazy.
50 states, lots of languages.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you, because I know, like, almost every time that either we go down to Springfield or you guys come up, you guys are always telling us, like, some stories about, like, your family. And I know that you guys have, like, some crazy family stories from what I've heard. So, do you have anything, any story that, like, you would want to share?
So I was thinking about a funny story that we had together. Do you remember when we went camping?
Yeah.
We were in Indiana at Turkey Run. And for, I think one night, right, you guys, 4 of you were staying in a tent. And the 5 of us had like a little pop-up, right? And we all went to bed. And you remember the big thunderstorm that came in?
I think so, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were in a tent.
Oh, yeah. And you guys had a camper or something, right?
Yeah,
Or
it like
you said a
popped up.
Yeah.
Camper,
So we went
whatever.
over there.
You know what? I was talking to my mom about this beforehand. Apparently, you guys got so soaked and drenched because you were in a tent that you and your dad came in the pop-up and slept with us. And then your mom and Micah slept in the soaking wet tent, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I think you guys just like abandoned.
I don't remember. What?
Well, like, there wasn't enough room for all of us in the pop-up, and I was young. I don't really remember it, but I remember you guys, like, walking in the middle of the night, sopping wet.
Me and my dad did that?
Yeah.
I do remember going to the camper, like, at night like that. And I do remember it, like, storming crazy. But I don't remember it being, like, we left them behind. Because honestly, I don't remember going with everyone. I remember it just being, like, me and him. I don't know what I thought happened.
That whole trip was really funny.
Everything that happened that trip was crazy.
The next night, do you remember we had a lantern?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
That was an epic prank.
I forget how old we were.
Yeah.
But Micah was,
Like,
6, 7,
no.
9? Look,
I must have been, like, that old. I think he must have been, like, 4. No, he must have been, like, 5, maybe.
he
4
was
or 5.
young.
He was, like, 4 or 5.
Yeah, and he was the youngest cousin there.
Yeah.
And I forget how it happened.
Yeah.
But we might have dared him or convinced him to touch this lantern, and it was an actual flame, right? So it was hot.
No, there, yeah.
Yeah, right? It
It
was
was
oil.
like, it was a bulb, I think. But there was, like, I don't know if there was a flame. I don't know. But, yeah, it was
I think
very,
it was oil
very,
burn, so it was
really
hot.
It was
And
really
we
hot.
knew it was hot, and we somehow convinced him to touch it. And I think he touched it just with his pointer finger.
Yeah.
And
His finger, like the tip of his finger, like, ballooned up. He had, like, a blister or something, right?
yeah. And I
They
remember...
were so mad at me. I'm like, you should have touched it. Like, that was us.
I remember the 4 of us sitting there kind of realizing what we had done.
Yeah.
Because he was crying, obviously, and I
man.
bet that hurt.
Yeah, it probably did hurt. I'm like, dude, you shouldn't have touched it. Why'd you touch it?
We didn't tell you to do that. That wasn't us.
I got in so much trouble. And I think that same trip, that was the same trip, My dad was playing catch, I think, and then
Yeah.
he threw a softball and it hit our other cousin, or my cousin Alexis, your sister, in the face. And didn't she have like a huge bump or
Yeah.
something?
I think you know how softball has like the stitches?
Stitching? Yeah, I was
You
gonna
could
say.
see the stitches on her forehead. But that was her fault. She didn't know how to catch. That wasn't on your dad.
No, she caught it with her face.
She did.
That was funny. So, is there any like outside of the camping trip that you can remember?
No.
Really? Do you have any like ghost stories or like other types of stories?
So, I was just talking to my dad about this. One of my cousins, Courtney, on my dad's side, her dad died a few years ago, and she's, I don't know, 40 something. But she was really close to her dad and had a hard time with it, and she never deleted his phone number or his contact from her phone. It just was too hard for her for whatever reason. And it was like 4 or 5 years after he died. She was a vice principal at a school in Texas, and she gets a phone call from that number. She kind of freaks out, doesn't answer it, right? It's never happened before. She kind of didn't want to answer, right? She was in the right mindset. So she goes through her working day, and they leave a voicemail, right? So she has a voicemail from her old dad, from her dead dad's phone number on her phone. She goes through her whole working day, doesn't have the courage to open it or whatever, gets home, I think might have had a glass of wine or two, and plays it. And it's like background noise. It's like a butt dial, right? Just people talking in the background.
That's still scary.
Yeah, that's all it was, right?
Yeah.
So somebody like got her dad's phone number, right? And then coincidentally butt dialed her number, right? So it's not like they had her number saved. The phone number was recycled and given to somebody and happened to randomly call her.
I don't know.
And I remember
that sounds like too much of a coincidence. That sounds crazy.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because, butt dialing actually is kind of difficult with phones these days. I feel like that doesn't even happen that often. That's more like a flip phone kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
I know, I think it kind of freaked her out.
Yeah. And you're sure that, like, the number got recycled? Because that just straight up sounds like, I don't know.
I mean, the guy died, so I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it wasn't his number anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that's spooky.
I don't know how much you believe in the afterlife, but...
Yeah. I mean, I believe in heaven, so... I don't know. I don't know if I believe in ghosts, though, to be honest, because... I don't think, like, when people die, they stay here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we just have people sitting around us.
Yeah.
Right now. I don't
know if I believe in that, but I do believe in heaven, so...
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know what happens after.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of sad to think that nothing happens, but...
Yeah. I think nothing is scary, though. Even if I did believe in, like, I don't know. I feel like that's a scary thing to believe in.
Nothing?
Yeah, that nothing happens.
Yes, but it also kind of sounds peaceful. But it's so final that I think it is scary.
Yeah. Just because, like, people say, like, you die and, like, worms eat you, and that's it. Like, oh.
Oh, lock my casket up tight. I don't want any worms.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Why do we even use caskets, to be honest?
I don't know. I'm getting burned. I don't want a casket.
Yeah, it's weird because, like, we're the only animals that do that, obviously. And, like, why are we trying to, like, move away from nature and just, like, box ourselves up? Like, we're going to be taken out of there sometime.
Well, what would they do with the bodies, like, before, like, modern times, if not, like... Well, they didn't always have caskets. They just buried them in the ground.
Yeah, right? I support that. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, but then, like, rainstorms, floods, you just have bodies washed up instead of caskets. Right, 'cause
Yeah,
that
but
happens.
like at least you can just like deteriorate, and like why get put in a box and then not like it's as if you're saying that like, oh, I want someone. Oh, that sounds so much up. You know where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah, you're saying that if you were buried without like a casket, you would be giving yourself back to the earth, and you could like
Yeah.
deteriorate and like become soil or dirt or whatever, and like
Feed trees.
yeah, like some people like spread their ashes by a tree and like or by a seed and grow a tree.
Yeah.
But I guess yeah, you're just taking up space in a casket
Yeah.
that can never be used again.
I swear there was something that people were saying about how like it's not good for the earth, or I don't know what it was. I don't remember, but
Caskets are?
yeah, I
I
think
guess
so.
that makes sense.
I think so. Did you? Where is it that like they did the bells? Do you know about that?
No.
Where like if you're buried, they did this like a long time ago, and you turned out to be alive. You could ring the bell so people would like know. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I saw that actually. I believe.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Yo.
So in Edinburgh, in Scotland, they have a street that called like Diagon Alley in Harry Potter.
No, I don't know anything about Harry Potter.
Okay, well, there's the main street in Harry Potter,
Yeah.
and it's based off of this street in Edinburgh. And off the street there is a graveyard. I'm assuming who Voldemort is. No.
I know of him.
Okay. So like he's like a person, right?
Yeah.
And since Harry Potter is based loosely off of this town, right? He has a gravestone there from the actual person. I think his name is Tom Riddle, is Voldemort's actual name. He has his actual grave there, and that graveyard he is in has a bunch of those.
Really? Oh, that's crazy. That must mean like wait. I didn't even know it was based on like that town or whatever. And
I
it
didn't
was
either,
based on
actually.
a real person.
I don't know if it was based on that person, but it was said that the idea for the name came from this actual person because it's the same name from the city.
Yeah.
It was based off of, or the one street was based off of, I should say.
So wait, did J.K. Rowling come from that town or?
To be honest, I don't know.
Huh.
I just when we were there, I snuck into a tour group and I listened for a while. Is why I know that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I literally never knew that. I thought it was all just like made up.
For the most part, yeah. But.
Yeah, I think we're at an hour 30, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up. But
Okay.
like, especially that last part was pretty interesting. I'm gonna do a quick summary of what we went over. So we started like obviously talking about your trip and how it went, places you went, your favorite places, and then we talked about like growing up in Springfield, what that was like, the museum, the zoo, everything, and then moving into like high school, what you'd like to do in high school, and then we moved into like COVID, and then basically moving from COVID to college, like that transition, what that was like. And then we talked about like comp sci, and then your future, your bucket list, all that. And then finally we finished with like your fears of the future, and then we ended with like family stories, and then Harry Potter and Voldemort. So I want to ask like one final question just to like wrap this all up. I always ask like all my guests if you have any advice for the audience that's listening, whether it's like life advice or any advice you have.
Live your life. If you want to do something, go do it. If you have the chance to study abroad, go do it.
Especially study abroad.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity that if you can do, you really, really should do. But your life is yours. Do with it what you want. Just be happy.
Yeah, I think that's good advice because a lot of people are like, they get afraid of trying like new things or like going for what they want just because they're afraid of like failure or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like you're saying, if you just go for it, then
if you
you'll find
enjoy
out.
doing it and
Yeah.
it makes you happy, you definitely should try.
For sure.
Even if it makes you nervous.
For sure, yeah.
It's great to get out of your comfort zone.
I agree. And I think this podcast definitely has done that with me because like it was something where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just do it because number one, it would be fun and I'll get to talk to a lot of people. Number two, I'll like learn a lot of things. So it did end up being fun and I enjoyed it. So I went off on a tangent. I didn't even notice. So yeah, I want to thank you for getting on because I think a lot of the things, like especially sharing your experience like with other cultures and Europe, and then eventually like talking about other experiences you've had and everything. I think people can obviously learn from all of that and apply it to themselves. And the stories that you told, obviously people can be entertained. Obviously, I know your parents are going to listen to this episode, so
Definitely.
and definitely my family too. So they're going to be entertained by everything that was said. And I mean, even the ending, I think, was thought provoking and interesting. So I want to thank you for getting on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Goal Swell Podcast. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like. And if you plan on listening to any future episodes, make sure to subscribe and click that notification button.